Dr. Paul, being a medical professional, could you say a few words on the big pharmacy companies trying to pass legislation on controlling supplements and vitamins?
Yes. Now this is one I have to admit that frequently it slips by me, and even when I talk about medicine I should. And this is the idea of how the drug companies are so anxious to take away freedom of choice in alternative medicine. And I think that is so important. It is a medical decision, it's a scientific decision, but it's more important a freedom decision. Because I look at alternative medicine very, very carefully. I also accept the very good things that we can do in regular medicine. But what I really honor and respect is your right to decide whether it's taking vitamins or whatever. And they want to internationalize all those regulations, part of this globalism that the WTO wants to make sure that our regulations are exactly the same as in Europe. Who does it protect? The big drug companies. So if you want to use vitamins or whatever, you have to buy it through the drug company. So it's an attack on your freedom of choice on medicine, and it's a very bad principle.
How is Rudy coming on his homework assignment?
He's been tardy, and we're going to.
Towards getting rid of the Federal Reserve and the IRS and Congress and the people in the country. What are you going to do to counteract that resistance?
Okay, now that's a very good and it's a practical question. You know, we get in office, we want to get rid of the IRS, and we want to get rid of the Fed. And you're right, it's not going to happen if you don't have support from the Congress, and you have to have a country agreeing with on that. But even then, even if we want to move in that direction, you can't do it in one day. If you turn the switch on the Federal Reserve, as bad as they are and as disruptive as that system is, turning it off in one day is disruptive. You legalize competition, just like you do in education. Allow competition against the government. But you could legalize the Constitution, that is, gold and silver as money. And making sure that your contracts are upheld, that you don't tax your money, you don't have sales tax on gold, you don't have capital gains tax on gold, and that these accounts you just compete. So people down in Mexico, they're working real hard on this because they know what runaway inflation does. And the poor people and the middle class gets wiped out when their currencies go bad. So we want the American people to be well enough educated so that they can put their money in a gold account and be protected. The IRS and all taxation, if you change your tax system, it went to a sales tax instead of an income tax, but you kept this type of government and you wanted a balanced budget, it would still be a disaster. The real principle you have to deal with is the role of the government. How do we want the welfare state? Do we want to police the world? And if the majority of the American people insist that we do, it'll only end with a bankruptcy. Otherwise, if they do it our way, we can systematically cut the areas where it's most feasible to cut. And to me, the most easy place to cut is the foreign expenditures. You know, all the overseas stuff. We're spending hundreds of billions of dollars. We don't have to throw people out in the street who aren't getting medical care, even though I believe the market could deliver their medical care better. You don't attack that. You can save literally hundreds of billions of dollars, cut down on the deficit. At the same time, you can still tie the people who are in transition. But in the meantime, we get the young people and anybody who wants to get out of the Social Security system, let them get out.
Yeah. One more question for Dr. Paul.
What, if anything, will you do to investigate the occurrences of September 11th?
Well, what will I do about investigating 9/11? It's hard to say exactly what you can do unless you have total control of appointing the people in the investigation. Government investigations aren't all that reliable. You know, when they go in and when they look at Waco and Ruby Ridge and assassinations or 9/11, they're cover-ups basically. And I don't know exactly what happened. I do know that governments are inept, both inept in protecting us when they're supposed to. All of us were spending $40 billion a year to gather intelligence to find out what our threats were. The information was buried in there. Everybody knew these guys were, you know, there was one FBI agent on 72 occasions reported this bizarre thing, and he just wants to steer the airplane, he doesn't want to land the airplane. He reported that it's like 70 times, and it was totally ignored. The information was there. there was a lot of guilt there about people who were just totally inept. And I think it's mostly, a cover-up. I would do whatever I could get to the bottom of it, but in itself, we have to also move forward to prevent it. We have a lot of intelligence out there that we have gathered. We don't have enough intelligent people figuring it out. But hopefully someday we will know the real truth of that, but that won't happen even overnight with immediate change in the president. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.